Yeah, I did want to get into this next bit, which is actually a segment from the Majority Report that I was surprised to see. Someone that we're not usually terribly in agreement with most of the time, Sam Seder, actually had a decent take on this matter, and it was interesting because it was a little bit of a split panel. So him and Emma were actually correctly calling out AOC, and Nomiki Konst actually was defending AOC. So I thought this was an interesting conversation. It's a pretty long discussion, so we're only going to listen to the first like 4 or 5 minutes, but I'd love to hear your guys' reaction to this. I thought it was a pretty fascinating exchange, given that usually everyone on the Majority Report is solidly in the defend AOC camp, like, 10 times out of 10. I thought this was, revealing that no, it's not just the right wing that's calling out AOC for this. Even motherfuckers like Sam Seder are calling this out. So yeah, let's take a look at this. Like I said, I'd be fascinated to hear your guys' opinion on it. And it even starts with a pretty funny clip of AOC that is just, again, so revealing, so ironic. But yeah, let's check this out.
Let's hear what AOC says.
When Aurora and I were first kind of partnered, we really started having a conversation about what it means to be working class women of color at the Met. And we said, we can't just play along, but we need to break the fourth wall and challenge some of the institutions. And while the Met is known for its spectacle, we should have a conversation about it.
Yeah. And I just wanted to briefly break in before we actually listen to this little exchange/debate and remind everyone that Aurora James, the person who AOC is standing next to there and who designed the dress, has been blasted by ex-staffers, calling her operation a sweatshop that relied on legions of unpaid interns working full-time jobs, been accused of harassment, all this shit, said she was quite cold. This is the part I don't care about as much. Apparently she hasn't paid her rent on a few places, so I don't give a shit about that. But yeah, it is super ironic that they're like, as working class women of color, and it's like, meanwhile, there's a trail of exploited working class people that have led to your success. Anyway, super ironic, super like unbelievably fucking hypocritical. But yeah, let's take a look at this debate.
But why are you at the Met?
That's my critique as well. And Nomi's gonna push back on this. My critique is, don't go.
Hang on. Would you say the same thing about the White House Correspondents' Dinner? Would you say the same thing about the Oscars, for instance?
Yes. In fact, I have.
The White House Correspondents' Dinner is about politics.
I won't go to the White House Correspondents'.
Regardless, it's the same thing. It's, there's always a celebrity chef. There's
exactly. That's why I don't
parties.
Go. I've been invited. I don't go.
Like, okay, so Matt has pointed out, I have a particular allergy to performative stuff, right? And so this makes me, I recognize my response to this is probably not what everyone may.
Look at how much it hurts Emma Vigeland to make a good point. Look at how much it fucking hurts her. She is in pain when she's about to say the smartest, most reasonable thing she's ever said on this fucking show. So props to you, Emma. I'm glad you were suffering through.
Respond to it with. But I think this doesn't change anybody's mind. All it does is cause a stir. All it does is include her, who's advocating for really important class politics, with the perception of Hollywood and art elites. And all it does is give fodder to people who may already be like, oh, she's probably a hypocrite. Look, she drives a Tesla. Look, she, is a part of the elites that she criticizes. All it does is give them an image that I think validates that just by being there. So my initial thing was, I'm just dreading the takes. But now I just think you have a responsibility as one of the premier and most public left voices in the country to not be in those spaces because it doesn't achieve anything.
So here, I have a couple of thoughts on this. Performative, I completely understand. this is not somebody who is not progressive pretending to be progressive. This is not Nancy Pelosi, taking the knee while she has no problem for the most of her career taking money from the worst actors that, have locked up Black and brown communities for the last 30 years, 40 years.
By the way, I love how people like Nomiki Konst, their arguments for defending AOC have like degenerated from actually defending AOC to being like, well, she's not as bad as Nancy Pelosi. Give her a break. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. How quickly does she divulge into Black and brown people as her fucking scapegoat too? It's like, oh gosh, these Nancy Pelosi, Black and brown people don't disagree with me, or you're a racist. Like, oh, and she's like, oh, I got the way that she's like, can't wait to jump in and fucking chomping at the bit to defend AOC for every fucking thing that she's ever done. This was obviously a bad idea. She brought on all of this unnecessary bad praise. Even if you don't care that she showed up, even if you don't care that if you don't think it's a problem that she showed up, I was impressed and surprised that Sam recognized the problems with all of that shit. That was tight. Good take from him. They're rare. So that was good. And then Nomiki is like just like coming out of her skin right now, desperate to just kind of throw anything at the wall to be like, oh, if Nancy Pelosi did this exact same thing, it would be wrong. But since AOC is doing this, oh, it's correct. Like, how does that work? She's a congressional elected official.
This is somebody who practices her politics, has everything from reforms when it comes, like actual legislation that has to do with how our clothing is made, to minimum wage. I mean, all the things that actually affect this industry that is like front and center of the Met Gala. She has actually, walked the walk. And so she shows up in this space. It is like, in my opinion, it's like having an ad for taxing the rich during the Super Bowl. If you are given that opportunity, and no matter what you do, whether you appear at the border with children in cages, whether you go to your own district and tour the flooded neighborhoods, whatever you do, the right wing is going to go after you. So you might as well take it as an opportunity, understanding no matter what, they're going to go after you, and say, maybe I'm going to reach some normies. True story. I have a lot of like family members and friends who have been pulled into the left because of AOC, because of these kinds of things.
I don't know what normies you're talking to, Nomiki, but I promise you every normal working class person that sees this stunt is immediately going to use it to affirm their probably already previously held notion that these socialist politicians like AOC are frauds, hypocrites, and that they don't actually fucking stand for what they preach. So I think that's a ridiculous point, but let's.
Yeah. You ever left NYC, bro?
Because they read Chrissy Teigen's tweets. And there is power to that. I mean, it's why Bernie Sanders goes on The View. He doesn't like it, but it's the highest rated show.
But that's a cable show that's talking about news, and you're getting your message out there as opposed to going to a Gala.
Do you know how many people have been radicalized by fucking Chrissy Teigen tweets?
with Kris Jenner. Like, there's a difference.
But she wasn't with Kris Jenner. I mean, that's like saying, you could say it about anything. You go on CNN, you could go, all of these places, of course, celebrities go on The View.
Here's the difference. The View, it's not television for me, and people watch it and this and that. But The View is that Met Gala is, in my mind. It is a representation and quite literally a function of the massive wealth disparity that we have in this country. You cannot have galas like that unless you have people who have so much money that they don't know what to do with it, and they're trying to figure out how I'm going to get a tax break.
Wait, Sam, this is not a gala for rich people. I'm sorry. I'm not defending like the gala itself. Let me make that very clear. But I think we're getting confused. This is a gala where there are artists, well-known, very rich artists, who are given tickets to wear designer dresses. It's not like, oh, I'm Jeff Bezos, I can buy a ticket for $30,000, as far as I understand. I think a lot of misinformation has been put out there.
But who gets those tickets?
Wait, who's paying for this?
Who gets the tickets? It's wealthy people.
Who's paying for this? This is not.
I understand. I'm not humanitarian, whatever the foundation crap. That whole ecosystem is. That's the problem. I think we're confusing so many different things here. We're confusing art and designers and funding our art institutions and having an opportunity to stand before like a world audience.
What it is. I'm relying on you guys to tell me what it is. I don't know anything about it.
The only person who's confused here is Nomiki, that's for sure.
I really don't understand this attempt to like, pretend like the Met Gala is something that it's not. Like AOC might as well have gone to the like masked orgy and Eyes Wide Shut. Like this is literally like one of the most disgusting concentrations of opulence and celebrity wealth. And it's not just celebrities and artists that go there. Fucking Elon Musk and Grimes debuted their relationship at the Met Gala a few years ago. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that was like their big debut as a couple was at the Met Gala. Literally Elon Musk, a fucking like oligarchic fucking billionaire or trillionaire. I don't even know how much money that motherfucker has, but like it's not just a collection of like well-known artists and beneficiaries of society or whatever ridiculousness she's trying to paint it as. Again, this is I don't know, man. This is not a great take, but what's your thoughts, Spess?
Yeah, terrible take. So many thoughts. Number one, why does everybody have to be blonde? Sorry, isn't that like a Fox News thing? Why on the left do we have to look at more blondes? I'm sorry. I'm a little prejudiced. So anyway, I think that she said a lot of stuff. I think that the Met, first of all, everybody should know that the Met receives state federal funding. They get, I forget what endowments and stuff like that, right? And they have a lot of wealthy donors that like to see their names on the damn building. So they don't need money. This is not like you're going into a poor neighborhood and like you found like this ridiculously talented graffiti artist and you're giving him canvas. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not happening. Okay. Anybody that's at the Met Gala has rich friends, was picked up out of anonymity by other rich people and then passed around like, like an oddity, and or they were rich to begin with. Because my other side hustle is art. I did theater for a long time, and now I'm an illustrator. Now I do fiber arts, and it's really, it's hard. It's hard out there, and if you have any like access to a juried show, or like even to get up, work your way up that to, thing, you need at least like $2,000 to $3,000 for a booth. Like that's just to enter, right? So like that's a you don't have everyday artists doing that. These are already rich people that went to art school.
Plus art's like one of the most predatory, most fucking vulturistic professions that it is, because the artists get literally nothing. And one of like, you'll see like these massive price tags at art shows or at galleries, or galleries are literally the worst for artists unless you're already like a millionaire artist. If you're Banksy, the fucking place is going to be good to you. But if you're just Joe Schmo graduated from, New York XY art school, like you're going to get the shaft. And also all the materials that you're using are really expensive. The artist is incumbent to buy those first before they produce the art. And then like 80% of it sometimes goes to the gallery. It's like absolutely absurd. And getting into the right gallery is all like, who do you know? Not necessarily how good you are. And that goes back to a class issue where it's like the opulent are going to keep their fucking galleries prestigious, and of course they'll make a big show over this fucking immigrant woman that they're putting up on a show. But it's like, how many immigrant women did you fucking like not pay attention to their art? How many working class people did you not pay attention to their art for every one that you put up? So yeah, I think it's a good point that you bring up, that art is already just so largely classist that trying to defend it by being like, oh, this is for artists, it's like, yeah, it might as well be for Formula One drivers. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a fucking classist ass fucking hobby.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm tired of it, honestly. I think a lot of the, the alt and culture that we have, and I'm in Jersey, so I'm very close to New York, and we get a lot of that around here. And it's just, it's all for rich people. Like I started out as a singer, and one of the reasons I just couldn't force myself to sing opera is because every story is about a rich person. And I can't. Who cares? So like, I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of this elitist. Like, those are the only people that are getting the access to the national microphone, right? And that's one of the things that I bring up on my show a lot. I believe that because of the economic downturn, that millennials and Gen Z, which ones are you, by the way? You guys are like young millennials, right?
We're Gen Z.
You're Gen Z? Okay.
Yeah.
I hate you, so no problem. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, no, I mean, like the thing about the difference between millennials and Gen Z, I think, is that Gen Z came out of the womb knowing that the world was shit, and like millennials, like were Disney up until like maybe high school, and then we were like, oh my god, 9/11, like fucking economic downturns, like everywhere. Anyway, so my point is that, I think our generation saw, we were promised a lot of things. We were promised, like the sort of continuation of the dot-com boom period, right? And we prepared ourselves for that. We went to college, we got all these skills, and, we have so many more, people who went for art and art history and stuff like that, in our generation. And all of us had to abandon all of our hopes and dreams and go get low-paying jobs because that was all there was. So, the people that, were even describing at the Met Gala, like AOC was probably among the youngest there, right? I mean, like the designers, may have been younger, but you don't have, you don't rack up like giant amounts of debt and non-tax payment when you're 20. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm pretty sure whoever that designer was probably at least my age, 35, if not older. So I'm an elder millennial, so I don't know if you can tell. I have to get my cane out.
Yeah, well, we always try and hide the fact that we're the Gen Zers too, or well, not hide it, but we're definitely more crotchety. Like, I don't have a TikTok, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I thought this clip was just really interesting for a couple of reasons, but specifically, like I said, because there's this effort by AOC and other AOC defenders to paint all the criticism of AOC constantly from being from the right. Oh, these are just conservatives that are looking for fodder or ammunition to, make these points about AOC. But in reality, we're getting to the point where even people like Sam Seder are having to admit that this is straight fucking cringe. I also saw Anna Kasparian on TYT admitting that this was straight cringe and a useless performative stunt. So again, even people that are notorious for defending the squad are like wincing, like, oh, am I going to have to keep defending this person for how much longer? You know what I'm saying? So again, I think it was a revealing conversation chiefly for that. And hopefully Nomiki at some point catches up and realizes that as well. With all due respect, that was not a very great take from her. And again, I wouldn't want to be in the place where I feel like I have to keep defending someone like AOC when it's just clearly getting harder and harder to do so.